Hey you, let's get weird. Barbie, that is. And now that I look like I'm wearing a 1980s prom dress in all of its Technicolor glory, in true Weird Barbie fashion, it's fine. I didn't just waste all of that paint and all of that time on something that stupid, right? Here at Fantastical Follies, we love a historical cosplay. And when I saw a Weird Barbie in the Barbie movie for the first time, I felt weirdly called out. Like, Greta Gerwig peeked her head into my apartment and was like, I'm watching you. I see you. I know what you want. You want to be weird. And in popped Kate McKinnon with the splits and the sarcasm and the giant puffy sleeves that were screaming 1830s. What was I supposed to do? Not Victorianify this pop culture character that had me written all over it? First thing we need to do is Franken-pattern some pieces together. Rawr! The black snail 1830s bodice is my base, since Weird Barbie is totally giving that vibe, but I'm going to use the top part of Mood's free Bridgerton dress bodice because the black snail pattern is off the shoulder. I don't trust the side dart of this bodice at all. Mood's pattern sizing is wonky and definitely made on a smaller block than most patterns, so I'm opting to chop it off right under the pit so I don't have to deal with that nonsense. I will be using the back of the Mood bodice in full, however, so we'll need to lengthen it to fit the front. This is just a simple slash and spread method. I'll be taking in the sides slightly to accommodate my narrow back. Then it was time for a mock-up. That initial mock-up was a disaster. It was huge everywhere. It was falling off everywhere. What a mess. I ended up having to take it in by quite a few inches at the sides to get it to fit even remotely the way that it was supposed to do. Unfortunately, it is very clear to me that I need to do an FBO. I do not want to do an FBO. This was supposed to be a quick, easy project while I'm working on my Cassandra stays, something to knock out and feel like I'm accomplishing something since I'm working on something that takes forever. I want to do an FBO so little that I actually put this up completely for almost a full week because I just could not deal with it. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna make my changes, change the width of this, get it to fit the way that it needs to do, and then once everything else fits, I'm just gonna suck it up and do the FBO. I need to learn the technique. I need to learn it this summer. It's something I've been putting off for a long time. So let's give it a shot. That made all the difference in the world. Now it's not perfect. I still probably could have taken it in another inch or so, half inch, but I'm happy enough with it. Once I get the sleeves on, it won't be quite so noticeable. I do think I need to pull this up a little. I also think the neckline is a little too wide, so I'm going to adjust that on my paper pattern a little bit. I also took it down in the back because I think that's nicer looking. So yeah, I'm just gonna make a couple of quick adjustments and then I think we're ready to cut this out. All right, yesterday after I made my adjustments, I cut out the bodice front, the bodice back, and 2 sleeves. I plan to use this little scrap here to cut out the arm cuffs. It's just wide enough to wrap around the bottom of my arm, which leaves me with this much fabric. Woo! I measured it and it's something like 82 inches. So I did some quick calculations and I want it to be about 27 inches long. That will get me slightly below my knee. So I divided that and I have almost exactly 27 inches. It's probably gonna be a little bit shorter, but I think that with this cut selvage to selvage, like an 18th century petticoat, we can get 3 panels out of this, which will be about 120 inches, which will get me a really nice puffy skirt. I'm not gonna have any extra, which I'm kind of bummed about because I was hoping to save at least a bodice size amount for another project, but I'm using all of it, which means I'm not gonna have to store any of the rest of it, so it'll be fine. Okie dokie, artichokes. All the boring bits have been completed, so let's go ahead and get her assembled. First order of business is flatlining the bodice, only worrying about the curved edges right now. Doing the FBO made a huge dart. So on the other side, I'm going to split the amount over 2 darts and see which side I like better. And with that, we're ready for a try on. Here are the 2 darts, here is the 1 dart. I definitely think I like the way that the 2 darts looks better, so we're gonna go ahead and do that on this side. I do think I may need to pull up this a little bit and potentially make the arm side in the back a little bit larger, but we're gonna get everything assembled first and test it with the sleeves, and if I have to make modifications, I can do it from there. Always iron your darts, kids, and do it on a ham. Your yabos will thank you. What is essential for every Barbie's wardrobe? Pockets. Giant pockets. Gather in the skirt. Gather in the skirt. Still gather in the skirt. Have you ever had something that was supposed to take 10 minutes, take 3 whole days because of really stupid reasons? That's what putting that skirt on just did. And the worst part is I'm still not happy with it, but I cannot take it apart anymore. So we're just gonna be zen with the fact that the bodice is probably crooked and move on. And now that I'm properly cross, it seems like the natural time to do my least favorite part of any modern constructed garment. The zipper. Invisible zippers don't zip as easily, but they're less hassle to sew in, so that's what we opted for. Lay the zipper face down along the seam line and sew using your invisible zipper foot. Now the tricky bit. You need to put the other side of the zipper face down on the other side of the bodice. If it looks awkward, you've done it right. BT dubs, I was right about making the bodice a different size. But you know what? I don't care. I'm done. I'm letting it go. I'm walking away. Tantrum over, let's set in the sleeves. These are giant and puffy and gathered, which means they're not sleeveless. Just gotta get the gathers to fit in the arm side and you're good to go. So let's go ahead, get her tried on and make sure everything fits okay, and then we'll get the sleeves permanently set in. I still think it's too wide in the waist. I really think it needs to be taken in, but like I said earlier, I am not messing with this waistline anymore. Besides, it's not likely I'm gonna be wearing this without a belt. This one's a little too big, but I think it makes a huge difference. And now that I look like I'm wearing a 1980s prom dress, let's go ahead and finish the sleeves. Oh look, more gathering. Okay, that's the sleeves settled. I told you gathered sleeves weren't hard. Now all that's left to do is to do the hem and edge finish the neckline, and we'll be ready to do fun stuff. I do want to say a huge thank you to all of you amazing people who have supported me over on Ko-fi. This is my new sewing table, which you purchased for me. I've been crawling around on the floor and dealing with things falling off my ironing board for years, and this has helped so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm still kind of fixing it up a little bit. I'm gonna make it a little bit prettier. I did cover the top with some contact paper. If you have the means and would like to help support this channel, I've linked to it down below. Otherwise, as always, you can give me a big old thumbs up and say hello in the comments. That also helps the algorithm get videos like this out to people like you. This is a history-bounding dress that is destined to be part of my everyday wardrobe. So the idea for Weird Barbie's crazy squiggles is to make it a separate piece, which will then be removable. I think it's important, especially as a creator, to make sure that my costumes aren't unitaskers. What do you think? Hi. Okay, so I have had to change my plans. Originally, I was going to make an overskirt and applique a bunch of different fabric scraps onto it. However, since I'm about ready to start that, I looked at the thing again, and not only did I realize that the design went all the way up the top of her bodice and wasn't just concentrated on the skirt, I also have realized how long this has taken me. And so I've decided, instead of hand sewing all of those appliques on, I'm just gonna paint it. I'm gonna grab my acrylic paints, put it onto the tool, and make a little pinafore. Yeah. You ready to see the final paint job? It stuck to the drop cloth. It's fine. I didn't just waste all of that paint and all of that time on something that stupid, right? You know, it was something I was anticipating and I should have taken precautions, but I was just being lazy and I didn't want to do it, and it's ruined. The good news kind of is that I held it up to the dress and it really didn't look that great, so I probably would have had to redo it anyway. At least it wasn't like a redo of something that was technically perfectly fine. It was a redo of something just total disaster fail. I could purchase more fabric from Fashion Fabrics Club. It happens to be on sale right now. It's the 4th of July weekend, but I remember it took a very long time to get my fabric and I am kind of on a deadline for this. So, as it happens, I took a piece of fabric with me. I had to run to my local box store to pick something else up, and they had fabric and I bought it. This is the fabric I bought. This is the dress. It doesn't quite match, but y'all, it's pretty darn close. I don't even think you can tell in the camera. I did consider going back to my original idea and painting it on white fabric and then appliquing it on, but in retrospect, the time it would have taken me to do that was just overwhelming. Even better, that fabric that I bought was only $4 a yard, and even though I asked for 1.5 yards of it, it was the end of the bolt and he couldn't get the thingy working, so he only charged me 1 yard and I got almost 2. I'm annoyed I had to spend more money, but in the long run, I think it's gonna look a heck of a lot better. I'm zen with it now, although I'm gonna need a day away from it before I pull all my paints back out and do round 2. Well, my friends, here is the finished painted pinafore in all of its Technicolor glory. Man, I'll tell you what, I was not a happy camper having to repaint all of that stuff again. But I'm sure glad I did, because it looks a heck of a lot better than it ever would have on the tool. I'm happy with the decision. So now all we've got to do is hem the bottom and the sides of the apron portion, hem the top and the sides of the pinafore portion, gather all the apron down to the waistband, assemble it all together, and add some pretty pink ties to the back. There are a gazillion neon green snakeskin boots out there, but it's not my style. And between my ballet calves and my ballet bunions, I'd spend all that cash on a pair of boots I would never wear and never be able to get on. So instead, we're going to call back to the Victorians once again and utilize a cheaper, more comfortable, and smarter garment. Gaiters, also known as spats. And I mean Gaiters, not, you know. And now it's time for everyone's favorite material. Knit, stretch. Look, I promise it's not as bad as you think it is. So I have all of the assembled pieces here for the spats or the gaiters. This is a free pattern from Laughing Moon. It's also part of the, I think, cycling 1890 cycling outfit, but you can get it separate for free if you would like it. Really great thing to have, especially if you do mid to late Victorian. You can just make your spats to match your outfit, and then you don't have to buy a new pair of shoes every time you make a new outfit, because those American Duchess boots don't come cheap. But I'm not going to be following the directions very much at all. Firstly, because I'm using stretch spandex, and secondly, because I don't want to fiddle with it. So we are going to kind of modify the pattern slightly and make them pull on instead of buttoning with a gazillion buttons. So to do that, we're going to remove the button placket using the facing piece as a width guide. We'll do that for both the button and the buttonhole side. From there, all we had to do was pin all the seams together. I like using silk pins when sewing knits, as the thin, sharp point behaves better with the stretch. A serger is a great way to handle seaming knits, as the serged edge has a stretch to it, so if you got one, use it. When I put them on, they were way too big, so I cut out a significant amount from the top and the bottom on the seam with the pattern grading. Not sure if this is pattern fault or the fault of the stretch, but when I make these for real, we will be doing a for real mock-up first. Using ballpoint or jersey needles when sewing knits on your regular machine is helpful. It's also a good idea to stabilize your knit hem using some interfacing or something, but I'm in a hurry and these aren't going to get a lot of use, so I CBF. Yowzas! I've been wearing green this lime since my 2nd grade dance recital. Last thing to do was add elastic to the bottom of the gaiters in true Weird Barbie fashion, with as much difficulty and awkwardness as you would expect. Well, folks, it's done. I've got the perfect place to take photos and film the reveal, covered in AstroTurf. There's only one problem. I think we're gonna have to do the reveal inside, y'all. Once upon a time in Barbie, I mean Jackie's unaesthetic but air-conditioned apartment in the real world.